Hey Paradoxica, how are you doing? Same to you, Banana. How are you doing? I am currently sifting through a bunch of shit at my desk. Man, why is it so hot? But yeah, time for more Ace Attorney. Hollow Justice. Finally got your new bed built after the old one broke. Nice. I think we were told to go somewhere else. Yeah.
Woohoo! This is it, Apollo. The place where magic and dreams converge.
Just a while ago was the place where murder and nightmares converged.
Well, let's go say hi to Uncle Valent.
What about the case?
Only a performer laughs like that.
The young Miss Trucy. How often I'd hoped we'd meet again, only to tell myself it was an impossible dream.
Uncle Valent, how's it going? I'm glad to see you too.
Of course you are. Melody is definitely not one of his stronger traits. Well, Miss Trucy, how does the day find you? If you've come to give me flowers, do it after the show, I beg you.
Actually, we came to wish you good luck. And congratulations on your big magic show.
Oh, but it is I who wish to congratulate you. Not everyone is so lucky as to witness miracles such as the ones I shall perform. Yeah, you're amazing. We get the picture. The world will watch in wonderment as Magnifi's illusions are reborn. Here on stage, by my hand.
Everyone's talking about the big magic show. Is it true that the Gramarye Miracle is back after a 7-year absence?
Miss Trucy, I must apologize. This show and this honor should have been his.
Daddy.
Alright, give me a sec. Add one to the Maddie needs to start doing vocal warm-ups before streams tally. Probably at like 100 by now at this point. My magician in training, co-magician in training, Zach Gramarye. If that terrible thing hadn't.
It's okay.
Your father was a great magician, Trucy. If he were alive, then I, Valent Gramarye, would have been proud to stand upon this stage as his assistant.
Thanks, Uncle Valent. You know, I'm happy you're doing the show. And to think we get to see the great Magnifi's illusions again.
Really is looking forward to this, isn't she? My mentor, the magnificent Magnifi Gramarye, was a true deity among magicians. A creator god who gave birth to magic and illusions that defied our very imaginations.
I was so little when I last saw one, but I remember his shows. He did wheelies in a sports car through the air above the audience, and then sped off to outer space faster than the speed of sound.
Well, I'm guessing that memory was a bit embellished. For 7 long years, the world has been waiting for a miracle to match his. As heir to the Gramarye Troupe's secrets, it falls to me to provide one. It is my God-given destiny. Yes, you, nameless face who speaks for the nameless masses, wow. How can I help you? If the world was waiting, why did you hold off for 7 long years? It appears the lad is uninformed. Have you ever heard of copyright? It's a fickle bitch. Perhaps you've heard as the magic known as law, which governs our land. I have, though I'm not sure it qualifies as magic. The funny thing about that copyright bit is that that's more or less what this is, actually. The performance of Magnifie's miracle was impossible. A certain law prevented it for 7 years, but no more. 7 years. That phrase sure likes to pop up, doesn't it? Oh, trust me, Apollo, you're gonna hear a lot more about it before the end of this case.
And why was that?
A little matter called performance rights, Miss Trucy. Copyright.
Can you tell us about these performance rights?
Magnifie's magic relied on an incredibly innovative idea. Well, a trick, if you will. That trick was considered his property, and as such was protected by property laws. Intellectual property, maybe? Magnifie knew this and bequeathed it in his will. To one person. You mean him? Yes, Miss Trucy. It was your father. Zach Gramarye was the inheritor of the Gramarye miracle.
Daddy.
Yet, as you well know, he is gone. He disappeared suddenly 7 years ago. I think I see where the story's going. Once a person is classified missing for a certain period of time, they're considered legally deceased, correct? In all absoluteness, I'm not even gonna try that again. Those rolled up sleeves conceal your competence well, young man. That certain period of time which you speak is 7 years. Yes, Miss Trucy, though it pains me to say it. This past spring, April to be precise, was the time. Your father was legally declared deceased. In the absence of a formal will, the secrets of our mighty mentor, Magnifie, passed to me. This was, in fact, stipulated by the will of Magnifie himself.
Is that how it works, Apollo?
Yeah, it's called death in absentia. He's declared missing, permanently.
Daddy.
My Trucy voice might be a little bit off tonight because it's so far, like, in the top of my vocal range. I was wondering if you could tell me about this. Absentia? Why, that bears the Gramarye seal.
Uncle Valen, is something wrong?
Trucy, where did you get this?
Huh? Daddy gave it to me.
Your daddy? My partner, Zach
No, my other daddy, Phoenix Wright.
Why now? Why would your Lord Daddy? Lord Daddy? kind of stretching the whole archaic thing a bit. This signature upon the back, do you recognize it? That belongs to none other than Zack Gramarye. Lord Daddy. I was gonna say maybe Phoenix has a kink for like being called Lord or something, but then I was like, wait a sec, Phoenix is absolutely the bottom in that relationship. I don't care what anyone says.
What? Daddy signed this.
Gosh, my Trucy voice is all over the place tonight. Might I be so bold as to open it? I'm sorry, but I can't let you do that. What's in this envelope, I wonder? So, a journalist was here on a story. All eyes in the universe are upon my stage. All pens seek to commit its mysteries to paper. Banana, have you seen the screenshot? I think it's either from Dual Destinies or from Spirit of Justice. That's literally, it's literally Phoenix talking to Edgeworth in court, and it's Phoenix's text box literally just says, "Yes, Daddy." That's it. That's the whole text box, and it is hilarious out of context, and it's hilarious in context, but there's also the one from, I believe, Dual Destinies that's the Mr. Right only makes that face when he's got his back to the wall.
His name was Brushel.
Brushel.
I think he remembers him.
Doesn't look too happy about it. Brushel. That cloying smell of mint when he smiles, yes.
Could you tell us more about him? What did he want?
Ace Attorney is so gay and I love it. Yeah. Hell, it's gay even outside of the Rightworth pairing. Like, people love shipping people really love shipping Franziska von Karma with Adrian Andrews from the original trilogy because they have a really sweet interaction or two. You know how people who ship characters are. They're like, oh, these two characters interacted on one occasion. Let's make them make out. Ryunosuke and Kazuma were pretty gay as well. A man by that name called on me just now. Just now? Valent's vision is always toward tomorrow. Valent's feet step always forward. That is all.
And that's all. Very confusing.
I am to perform a big magic show, yes? I wanted someone to cover it. Yet he had ears only for that incident. That incident? Also, how's my volume? In any case, I requested that the rapacious reporter remove himself. So a painter has died, what of it? It is but a footnote in the highlights, or footnote in the footlights, compared to the magic of Gramarye. There is no fate worse that you can give a character as a writer than saying a character's favorite food. Because everyone will hyper focus on that shit. Take a look at what happened with Goro Akechi. from Persona 5. Like, it's always pancakes with him. Like, always. Like, if you give your character a favorite food, people will hyper-focus on it.
Uncle Valen, do you know where the reporter went?
I recommended he visited that place popular with penalized perpetrators. Detention center? He was a rude individual. Might I see that card? Sure. He would tear apart my respectability. I will tear apart him.
Oh, here it comes, Apollo. Uncle Valen's big magic trick.
Gonna fix the card? Sure, that qualifies as big magic.
What happened to the big magic?
Is it not more miraculous for it to stay ripped? So really not like that journalist. Now the time has come when I must return to make my prestidigitation preparations. By your leave, Miss Trucy.
Thanks, Uncle Valen.
3 days from now, make ready for a miracle. What do you think that journalist was after? Why did Valent react like that to this envelope?
I think it's time we pay the detention center another visit.
I can't wait till we have the upgraded movement system from Dual Destinies on. Because the Dual Destinies movement system is, they give you all of the locations in one list, rather than having to make you move to one spot, to then move to another spot, to then move to another spot. They just give you all of them, all in one list, and it's great. I think I hear what you're saying. We're all doing it for the money. End quote. Oh, no, not at all. Looks like someone's already meeting here.
Maybe that reporter.
Oh god, here he is. Hey there. How you doing? Who might you be? Sorry. We didn't know someone was already here. I'm Apollo Justice, attorney at law. About a nervous monkey. You're Justice, you? You know me? Do I know you? Of course I know you. Stares down witness on the stand until they spill beans. End quote. That's not true. What's he writing?
Are you a reporter by any chance?
No, you're Trucy.
Huh? Am I famous?
Oh yeah. Trucy Wright hates carrying a bag. Puts everything she owns in her panties. End quote.
That's so not true.
Just hold on to your breeches there. I'll wrap up this interview in a jiffy.
Interview?
So, Card, I think I know what's going on here. Renting rooms is my life. What else could I possibly need? End quote. Oh, how many times do I have to tell you this? Look, I've got work to do. You deal with him.
Did you come here to interview the guard?
Oh, what a pickle. Accused wouldn't talk. I had to interview someone or go plumb crazy. End quote.
Huh?
I should have guessed. Where are my manners? Name's Brushel, Spark Brushel. I'm not picky. Journalist just closes his eyes, writes. End quote. It's that nauseatingly strong mint smell every time he grins. Until you've been interviewed by me, you don't know what thrilling is. Wild romp through the crossroads of mayhem, madness. End quote. I can see that. I really hope I'm not being too loud with Brushel's voice. He's writing something again. Well, if he's a reporter, maybe he knows something. Look at this fucking grin. I had this grin as an emote in one of my personal servers for a while, specifically because it made one of my other friends uncomfortable.
So, Mr. Brushel, you're a journalist.
Me? Look, let me state one thing for the record here.
Yes?
I'm the interviewer, you understand, yeah? I'm the one asking the questions here, end quote.
Okay.
For instance, think a movie director watches movies?
Well, I think he probably does.
Exactly. I knew you'd understand. Huh? It also doesn't help that he gets the fucking hottie clinic music.
And so, the night of the murder, you were at Drew's studio.
Who, me? Look, let me state one thing for the record. Oh. I was expecting that to be the same dialogue.
Yes?
I may look calm and collected, but I'm busy, real busy, always on the road. Journalist always buys one-way tickets, never looks back. End quote.
I can understand that philosophy, but...
Wanna know the thing about one-way tickets? Once you use them, they're gone. All because you have to give them to the guy at the airport.
True enough. But don't they give normal tickets away too?
Exactly, see? Same thing.
What is? And so, you went to do a story on Drew Misham. And he'd never had a story done about him before.
That's right. Look, let me state one thing for the record here.
What?
I'm sure you're gonna want to know about my source. What tipped me off to Drew? Why do the interview in the first place?
Well, yes.
Look, it's like... Oh, I've got it. Say there's this burger joint with fabulous ketchup. Think the burger guy's gonna tell me where he got it?
At the supermarket, maybe.
Exactly, see? That's what I'm talking about. I think he might have actually, I think I may have actually understood that one. Oh, there's nothing I can talk about, really. Walls have ears, eyes, especially glass walls with speakers, end quote. Okay, I actually like that one. That was funny. It's stupid, but it's funny. Right, we'll leave then. Yeah, but since you're here, might as well tell you a tidbit of news I saw, just for the heck of it.
Sure, tell us. Just for the heck of it.
I remember it like it was yesterday. I'd seen a movie on a trip and wandered into this burger place with amazing ketchup. But an article in the tabloid caught my eye. Famous oil painting stolen from art dealer's gallery. End quote, I believe it was. Oh god, that nose. An oil painting? Happens every day, right? But I thought I'd seen that painting somewhere before. A painting of a giant peach floating down a river. Someone stole an oil painting. Giant peach? Journalists can smell scoop better than burgers. End quote. Am I being too loud? On the audio readout, it looks like Brushel's voice is peaking my mic. Ah, right. Let me go on the record here.
Yes?
I know what you're gonna say. Brushel, take this. Right, brilliant column. End quote. I don't think so. Look, buddy, I write brilliant columns about one thing. And that's food. Try to understand. What could he possibly be writing? He didn't listen to a word I said.
Hey, Apollo, this painting, I know it.
Huh? Really?
That's the story where the old woman's doing the wash in the river. And this giant peach comes a-floating on down.
It might possibly be the strangest thing I've ever heard. Okay, I had to check that I... Okay, Is this just gonna be Emma's not here? Oh.
Well, how'd it go? Find anything out?
Actually, there was one thing I wanted to check with you.
What's that scary face you're making?
What's the I know something but I'm not telling face you've got going, Emma? This painting came from behind that dresser.
Yes, so...
It was stolen, no?
I was hoping you wouldn't figure that out.
Think you could tell us a bit about this?
I suppose. It's what you think. Drew Misham was a forger. Forger? So, what exactly is a forger? Well, basically it's someone who makes forgeries. Fakes, in other words. Fakes?
That wasn't your voice, but okay.
Copies of an original. Exact copies. So precise you can't tell them apart. Well, why not just photocopy them? The big problem with forgeries is that people try to sell them as the real article. It's a crime, of course. And so, Drew Misham was... a criminal? I'm afraid so. He received money to create elaborate forgeries. To supplement his work in illustration, I guess.
I see.
Actually... and that's why I brought this here in the first place.
Yo, hey Not, how are you doing? I see that you found the new emote. The Bean Jam. I actually genuinely have enough emote slots that I might just add the hat one as well. Cause like I have a spare like 8 or 9 animated emote slots. But yeah, how are you doing? Not a bit hot. I feel that. I don't know why, but it is significantly hotter than it usually is in my room. What do you mean?
When you're trying to determine, when you're trying to determine if a painting is a forgery, the rough sketch underneath can be a valuable clue. And so the rough sketch is like the practice for the real thing.
37 degrees Celsius with 45% humidity. Oof.
Like doing a magic trick in front of a mirror before you go on stage. But not in the case of a forgery. Not necessarily, anyway. You know what the finished product is going to look like, after all. Oh, yeah. I guess you would. That's why I brought this. I'm going to use it to see what's under the paint of the finished pieces.
I get it now.
Not that I really needed to go to such lengths. Seeing as how one of the paintings was only half finished anyway. And still, it'd be neat to see Mr. Misham's rough sketches. Kinda like what he was drawing when he thought no one was looking.
True, that would be interesting. It'd be valuable for our case.
You should try buttering her up, Apollo. Flattery will get you everywhere, they say.
Maybe I should ask Emma to help us out. I was hoping we could do a little forensics work.
I suppose, if we must. Just this once.
I kind of wanted to see the rough sketch under this painting. I was wondering if your tool there might do the trick.
Oh, fine, fine. Just this time, though. Let's check it out.
I hope you'll, like, this this high-pitched ringing sound. Scientific investigation. Hey Sachi, how are you doing? I love Signalis. I haven't played Signalis yet. This isn't even 3DS technology. This is DS technology, not... We don't get to 3DS technology until the next game.
Okay, let's print this one out.
Science. What the heck?
Wow, he really blows. And this finished painting isn't anything like the rough.
Wow, Trucy, rude.
Devices like mine didn't exist until recently. He probably thought he could draw any sort of thing he wanted for the rough. What do you mean? Well, in the past, you could only analyze the composition of a rough sketch. Composition? In other words, the traces of charcoal between the paint and the canvas. And so you could tell if there had been a rough sketch, but not what it looked like.
I think I follow you. It was two guys playing cards, Sachi. So in essence, it wouldn't matter what was underneath the finished painting.
And some pros would actually paint out a rough sketch entirely, and then do a completely new painting on top of that. And so, Mr. Mission was drawing whatever he wanted before painting over them? Possibly. Is there a problem with that?
Oh, we're just like checking the rough sketches underneath the paints on these paintings. Not particularly, but something about the sketch itself is kind of odd.
You're awfully silent all of a sudden, Apollo.
You think we could check out one of the other paintings?
Well, sure. You like this detection stuff, don't you?
Why are we checking the rough sketches under these? Because we know that the victim in this case made forgeries for a living.
Okay, let's print this one out.
This one too.
What's wrong, Apollo? You look so serious all of a sudden.
You think I could just look at the last one of these?
Fine by me. Knock yourself out.
Imagine if this painting was just like a picture of a gas leak. I sure do love this sound. Yeah, I know, right? What the heck is all this?
I hesitate to ask why you're getting so excited. Are you sure your device isn't leaking some kind of strange radiation?
Trucy, look at these 3 sketches. Do you notice anything?
There. Now you're both white as sheets. What's going on?
These sketches are of the 3 cases I worked on.
What?
That wasn't quite your voice, but... The murder in the poker club, or poker room at the Borscht Bowl Club. The dead man pulling the noodle stand. And then... the events that transpired during the Gaviners concert. A real gas leak.
What could it mean? How could he have drawn those things? And why?
That's what I want to know. Yeah, it's the scene of they're slightly different because like the one of the dead guy pulling the noodle stand is like an actual like skeleton pulling the noodle stand. And so the one of Clavier is the person playing the guitar is on fire instead of it just being the guitar on fire. That's what I want to know.
Wait, is Drew Misham your father?
Give me a break. Does that even seem remotely possible to you? I love that they poke fun at that, considering Spirit of Justice. I'd never even heard of any Drew Misham before. That's one of the few things I do know about Spirit of Justice. But I hadn't even seen a picture of him. There were my cases drawn on his canvas. Every single one of them. It couldn't have been a coincidence. Just who was this Drew Misham? And what did he have to do with me? What is it with me and stopping half an hour before to be continueds? Oh gosh, I'm gonna have to... Oh, whoops. That was a mistake. Mistake, I pressed the back button. That was the poker case, Sachi. Good morning. You know, okay. This is gonna show how much I've been brain rotting Final Fantasy XIV in the last week. Vera's little like hood thing, I don't know what it's called, reminds me a lot of the one of the aura in Final Fantasy XIV, the people with like scales and stuff. The one that has the white scales has a set of horns that looks like this, where it's like big fan horns on the side of their head. I see Final Fantasy XIV in everything I do. Help.
So, you're Vera, right? I'm Trucy. Trucy Wright. That's right with a W. But not right, right? We're on your side. You can tell us anything, please? Good morning.
She speaks.
Not bad, not bad. But I think you'll do better with a little smile, you know? You're so pretty. You need to sell yourself, you know?
Trucy, let's take it easy for starters. I love Vera so much. She's so cute.
Thank you for taking my case.
That wasn't as high as I wanted it to be, but... Okay, well, that's a start, I guess. Here she goes with the nail polish again.
That's great, really. It's so cultured. Wanna try? Oh, really?
Girls. Victim, Drew Misham, was a forger, and a stolen painting was found in his studio. A life of crime, really. Maybe one that led to his death. You know, you say that it's a forgery, but you also haven't checked it to make sure that it's the original. How can you be sure that it's the original if you haven't checked it, Apollo? I love Vera so much. Like, even with all of the really cool shit that happens in this case, like, Vera is genuinely one of my favorite, like, defendants in the entire series. She's great. Oh, well, now, in the trial of Vera Misham.
Is the judge okay? His voice is all raspy and he's looking around all nervous-like.
Repercussions of today's trial will most likely be felt for a long time. May indeed alter our legal system forever. Today is a test, apparently. Today is a test of the jurist system. It's gonna take me a sec. And the first step toward a new order in our courts.
Daddy's secret mission.
The jurist will function like a jury. It is hoped that their inclusion will help the courts to better reflect the people's will. Why aren't there any jurists here in the courtroom? 3 closed-circuit cameras watch this courtroom at all times. The jurists have access to everything that transpires. Gosh, why... Clavier's voice has gotten significantly harder for me to do. Jurists. Judge Vel and Judge Cool. Now see here, Prosecutor Gavin. I was going to say that. Ah, my apologies, Air Judge. Jurists, judge today's trial coolly, if you would be so kind. Jurists are unbound by the letter of the law. They don't affect the trial with evidence, but by their feelings. And we're about to find out just what effect they're going to have. Very well, Prosecutor Gavin, the details of the case, if you would. The victim is the painter, Drew Misham. He was killed in his own studio. His coffee was poisoned. By whom, you ask? By none other than the defendant, Vera Misham. Objection! There wasn't any poison in the coffee. Achtung. Somebody has been doing their homework. Indeed, poison was not present in the coffee, but on the mug itself. Mug? Ah, residue was found on the rim, I see. The autopsy report describes the manner of our victim's death. One accepts this as evidence. According to this report, victim's death was caused by atroquinine poisoning. A chemical compound that does not occur naturally. Lethal dosage is a mere 0.002 milligrams. A touch of atroquinine in the body is the touch of the Reaper's scythe. Very well, Prosecutor Gavin, you may present your witness. I have for you today a simple man for a simple case. A man who witnessed the murder in its entirety. That journalist, no doubt. The witness will state his name and occupation. The Reaper, Barrick von Zeeks of House von Zeeks. Now the Reaper is in the class from Endwalker. The witness will state his name and occupation.
Ah, right. Well, for starters, my name's Spark Brushel. My job is a lone observer of the world.
In other words, a freelance journalist, right?
If you don't mind, I'd like to state something here for the record.
Yes, Mr. Brushel.
I dislike conclusions, specifically the aspect of jumping to conclusions. Preconceptions make Park Sandbox of endless desert waste. End quote.
But you are a journalist. You said so yourself yesterday.
Well, that's true, yes. But you must understand, I stand before you today, a man with a dream. I'm offering you my testimony in exchange for exclusive rights to the story. Scoop turns Mr. Brushel into that Mr. Brushel. End quote.
Let's hear your testimony then, shall we? Simple case, eh, Gavin? For me, jury, still out. Why didn't you say that out loud, Apollo? Why couldn't you have said that to his face? I wanted to see Gavin roll his eyes at this. You can never trust a journalist. Especially a gaming journalist.
I visited the studio around 9 that night to do the interview. First outsider to enter the atelier. Journalistic history made, end quote.
Atelier is how you pronounce that, I'm like 99% sure. That is not pronounced as Atelier.
Daughter brought us coffee right after we started. And you know what happened next? Star falls, end quote. No one else entered the room beside her the whole time.
That does sound like a simple case. 8 liar? It is not pronounced 8 liar. It's a French word. It's That does sound like a simple case. Us, we're the one who poisoned him.
What are you saying, Judge?
Did I remind you the cameras are rolling today? I felt the need to be a bit dramatic. You didn't do it, did you?
Me do a thing like that? Come on, that's like newsmaker making the news, end quote.
Wow, that voice crack, like, accentuated the line.
Or even contemporary witch hunt, end quote. I know. Wild accusations rock courtroom, end quote.
The rock indeed.
Prosecutor Gavin sure looks like he's having fun.
I'm so happy for her. Yeah, I'm so happy for him. I don't know why I thought that was a different voice. Very well, Mr. Justice, your cross-examination, please.
I visited the studio around 9 that night to do the interview.
Hold it! 9 at night. Isn't that a little late for an interview?
If the great painter Drew Misham says come at 9, leave you me, I go at 9. The first, and as it turned out, the last interview with such a prolific painter.
Right. Can you tell us what it was like when you arrived?
First outsider to enter the atelier. Journalistic history made, end quote.
Hold it! You were the first reporter ever in Drew's studio.
Posterity will look back on that night as a turning point in journalistic history. A basically insignificant step for all mankind, but a giant step for that Brushel guy, end quote.
If no one on the outside ever had access to the studio, then it would serve to reason that the deed was done by an insider. which he means Vera did it. So, how did this epoch-making interview go? I actually don't know how that's pronounced. E-P-O-C-H.
Tata brought us coffee right after we started.
Hold it! Would you mind being a little more specific?
Ooh-wee, let me tell you, I enjoy a cuppa. In fact, it all began when I was in 3rd grade. No, wait, 4th grade.
That's not what I meant. I believe I know what Air Forehead is driving at. This coffee the victim was served. Did anyone other than the defendant touch it?
Yeah.
Right, that. That's what I was going to say, really.
Well now, if you've got a question to ask, you'd best straight up ask it. That's what I tell all the new recruits, several times if necessary. Right for a grade schooler? Or right for a grade schooler, that's my motto.
I thought he was gonna continue that sentence.
Which isn't to say I can only write grade school level stuff, mind you.
Who touched the coffee?
Dunno. I was in the back looking at the studio's equipment when she served it.
And what happened next?
And you know what happened next. Star falls. End quote.
Oh wait, whoops. Hold it! What's this about a star falling?
Star Falls, huh? It's like an old telegram. Send money, over.
Zowie, you don't know? That's like a journalism code word. An important personage passes away. A star falls, get it?
But there's no gravity in space, is there? I wouldn't think stars could fall, really.
Does this matter?
Oh boy, this is good stuff, good stuff. How about star breaks? Nah, lacks punch. I know, star dies. Nah, lacks imagination. Of course, you could go with Drew dies, straight to the point. I like it.
I think we need to hear about something a little more substantial. Moment of death? About when Mr. Mission passed away.
Ooh boy, what a scene that was. Puts his coffee mug down with a crash, right?
Yes, and then?
And the cold finger of death touches his spine. Life's flame sputters and fails. And so cold was that touch that he could do naught but tremble uncontrollably. Actually, life's flame is a little tired. Life's river froze over. Yes, that's a go.
I think he's starting his article already.
Could you describe that a little more simply?
Well, as you can imagine, I was pretty surprised. He hit the floor, as they say. Artist seizures, final performance, end quote.
Atroquinine paralyzes the central nervous system. The body arches back like a bull. The limbs tremble. That's quite enough of that. Must want to be able to sleep tonight.
Oh yeah? Well, I want details. Lots of juicy details.
For that, you can listen to our last year's hit single. Atroquinine, my love. Oh, that's where I heard it from. By the Governors. Available at all major music outlets. Point here is that the victim died of atroquinine poisoning. Well, Mr. Justice, how did you find that testimony? Very important. Well, as an account of the moment of the victim's death, I'd say it's very important. Please add it to the testimony. Oh, you want to sell out? I'll sell out. Very well. The court requests the witness add this account to his testimony. So I had the realization, I am not going to get a vocal break. I'm gonna get like 1 day of vocal break, and then we're gonna be playing Valhalla again. Most likely, unless my brain decides it wants to do something else. Because my anniversary stream's coming up, and that's gonna be fun.
Those spasms. That's definitely death by poison.
Hold it! You say it was definitely death by poison. How can you be so sure?
Hey, look, I'm a journalist. I've seen lots of things. And I've had more than my share of experiences with so-called poisonings. Man eats fishy fish, goes bye-bye. End quote.
Food poisoning doesn't count. Should I get him to talk about something else? So you drank the coffee that Vera served you too.
Of course. When someone serves you coffee, you drink it. That's what my old boss always used to say. Never did get what he meant by it, though.
But you're still alive, which is to say you didn't die.
Of course not. No point falling before you're a star. End quote.
That's not exactly what I was getting at. What were you getting at, then? You know the poison was on the rim, not in the coffee.
Oh, yes, yes. There were 2 cups in the tray she bought. And one of the cups had Drew's signature painted on the side.
No chance the guest would take that, no chance the guest would take that one by mistake, I guess. Well, Mr. Justice, was that testimony important? Talking about the coffee the witness drank. I'd say that is important. Very well, please add that to your testimony, Mr. Brushel.
I drank the coffee too, but I'm not dead yet.
Hold it! You're sure you drank the coffee?
Oh yes, yes, quite. I gulped it down. Felt that sweet scorch in my throat.
But you say the victim took 1 sip and fell over. And you still kept drinking?
Of course. Drink your coffee when it's hot, never when it's not. That's what my old boss used to always say. Never really knew what he meant by it.
Can I get him to talk about something else? Mr. Justice, is this important? I don't know why it's important, but it absolutely is, Judge. You say Mr. Misham had the coffee too, but did you actually see him drink the coffee?
Of course. He who sees it wins, but he who says it wins bigger. End quote. I learned a man sees dog eat dog and writes about it world, yep.
Yet?
I guess I can't say I saw him drink it, really. He had 1 so-called sip, if that. And puts lips to mug, drinks, end quote.
That poison is quite virulent, I hear.
My stomach did a so-called somersault. And since I'd gulped down that coffee without so much as a second glance at it... Wait, maybe something's there. Some kind of so-called trick. Anyone want to venture a guess, for the record?
Does this guy have a pause button? Oh, Mr. Justice, yes, Judge, it's very important. Victim drank his coffee, then immediately fell over?
Oh yes, yes. You can go to the press with that one.
Your Honor, this is a vital piece of information. Please add it to the testimony. Well, the witness will add this to his testimony.
Vital, right. He had 1 sip, if that. The next moment, he was on the floor.
This is contradictory because atroquinine takes like 15 minutes to react. I'm gonna press this. Hold it! So he either took a sip or he didn't, and then fell over?
Oh yes, indubitably. Just like that, wha-bam!
So Mr. Misham drank the coffee and fell over immediately. I think Brushel's telling the truth too. Should I get him to talk about something else? No. No real need to change the testimony. Problem with the testimony is already pretty obvious. I'm gonna make a confidence save. I haven't made the emote yet. I've been working on other art stuff. Okay, completely random thing. I've been working on the writing side of the game that I'm making. And I was like, I finally got to the point where I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna transfer all of my notes from my shitty notes app on my phone to like an actual like writing program so that I can lay them all out and like sort them. This was a mistake. I have gotten not even a single character, like a single character's information fully organized yet. It's so messy, and there's like 8 pages of just like random bits and pieces of notes. I know that 8 pages isn't really a lot, but it's a lot of like setting stuff and like character motivations and shit. But it's like 8 pages of all of this stuff mixed together. Like, it's not like, oh, you know, this chunk is this character, this chunk is this character. It's like, this chunk is this character, but it goes on into backstory that includes this other character, so it kind of melds the two of them together. And then after that, it runs straight into, like, lore details about, like, the world building and shit. And it's like, man, why did I write it like this? Why does it have to, like, why did I write this as, like, tangled spaghetti notes? Really?
See that there? That's poison.
Yeah.
Don't lick it, Apollo.
Don't worry, I'll be fine.
No, you won't. You'll die.
Look, I know. I meant I won't lick it.
Who knows what you do when I'm not watching?
CERN is touching, really. Next thing you know, she'll be telling me not to drink coffee before bedtime. She absolutely would as well. Hey, Judge, watch me turn this cup of coffee directly upside down. Okay, so... it's not the autopsy report.
Objection!
It's not the picture frame with atroquinine in it. Nope, not safe. So... cool picture. Am I on the wrong track here? It's not the mug, is it? Objection! It is, okay. You know what I have a problem with? A particular property of the poison used, atroquinine. Oh, Prosecutor Gavin was quite clear about the poison. Lethal dosage of 0.002 milligrams paralyzes the central nervous system. Drink that, even you, Mr. Justice, would be reduced to a quivering pile. Why are you using me as an example? Unfortunately, we weren't told everything. There was a vital omission in Prosecutor Gavin's information. Omission? Atroquinine is as virulent as he says. But death does not come upon ingestion, not immediately. That's because atroquinine is slow acting. Slow acting?
What?
According to one forensic scientist,
It's one of the most virulent poisons, but it's absorbed into the body astonishingly slowly. It takes at least 15 minutes from the time of ingestion for adverse side effects to show.
it wasn't the time of death. It was the fact that, Brushel is saying, like, oh, he died immediately after taking a sip. But that's not how atroquinine works. If we suppose that the moment Mr. Misham sipped the coffee was when he sealed his fate, then he would still have had time left to enjoy his last cup of joe. That fucking back sprite for Spark Brushel, Jesus. Order, order. What is the meaning of this? What the defense says is correct. Why, that contradicts the entire testimony we've just heard. Well, Mr. Brushel, anything to say on the record?
It's slow acting. SLOW-ACT. It was virulent, all right. Even then, it had already begun digging his claws into the journalist.
He's working on a scoop.
Objection!
It's Brushel, yeah? Herr Brushel, let's take a trip down memory lane.
Huh?
Did the victim really die the instant he took a sip? Think it over. This is vital.
You know what I think? I think that was a not-so-subliminal suggestion. End quote.
I admit, it does cause a problem if he died when you said he died. I would be forced to say... Auf... Wiedersehen? I don't know. I probably butchered that, but... To my simple case. And you would be forced to say farewell to your article.
Come again?
Yeah, I know that it means goodbye, but like I wonder how that's actually pronounced. Like, you can't rest. You, huh? Brain, where? Huh? I swear, sometimes my brain just makes sounds that aren't correct. You can't write a story based on conjecture, can you? And as the case drags on, other reporters will pick up the scent. And you'll be forced to kiss your exclusive scoop goodbye. Auf Wiedersehen.
Scoop. Scoop. Look, wait. Just wait. Just wait a second. Just 1 second.
We're waiting. Out with it.
I think I just recalled a so-called important detail. Revival of recollection. End quote. Story survival. End quote.
Attorney utterly confused. End quote.
Actually, I did notice something when I visited the studio. I heard of a poison that takes its sweet time, see?
But not what I've been saying for the last few minutes, apparently. Mr. Brushel, are you saying you noticed something that explains what happened?
You bet I am. Antidote for a poisonous contradiction. End quote, you might say.
Or, I still have no idea what you're talking about. End quote, I might say.
I figured it out, but only after an in-depth interview. See, thanks to my journalism skills, I know who poisoned that coffee.
Look at that back sprite, like... Order, order, order. As far as I can tell, the witness is standing by his testimony. That Mr. Misham died the instant after he drank.
Of course I'm standing by my testimony, and my dream of exclusive rights to this story.
Ugh. I suppose it was too much to hope for. What was? Of course he wouldn't choose a simple case. Not him. And Phoenix Wright. Who else? Achtung, Airbrushel. Report for us if you would. What is it that you noticed? I like how Clavier is just like fucking Phoenix Wright back on his bullshit. This court is a critical trial of the jurist system. I'm afraid no room for doubt is permissible. You'll testify to the court about what you noticed. Also, Sachi, did you see the new emote?
When I arrived at the studio, Mr. Misham was at his desk. He seemed to be writing a letter, but he quickly sealed the envelope. I thought nothing of it at the time, of course. Now that I think about it, what if he was writing a suicide note?
Suicide note?
Yes, he had this look on his face.
I like that they, I like that apparently Vi and I have, reversed our beans, so we jam together.
Yes, he had this look on his face. Man's face inscrutable as a quadratic equation. End quote.
It's suicide. Poor Mr. Misham. But that means Vera's innocent.
Someone commit suicide in the middle of an interview?
Oh.
Very well, you may begin your cross-examination. Just look at it, Spark Brushel, man. Like...
When I arrived at the studio, Mr. Misham was at his desk.
Hold it! Was there anyone at the studio other than Mr. Misham?
Well, his daughter Vera, of course.
Was anyone beside Mr. Misham and Vera present? Wow, I sped through that sentence.
Not a single one. Not a cat, not a rat, even a mouse.
The only person who didn't belong to that studio there was you, wasn't it, Mr. Brushel?
I know what you're doing. I know your game. Attorney uses classic
Ramsden phenomenon ploy?
End quote.
If you intend to suggest that this reporter is a suspect, I'm sure you also intend to present evidence supporting that assertion, correct? In the meantime, let's move along, shall we?
He seemed to be writing a letter, but he quickly sealed the envelope.
Hold it! What in the Kotaro Uchikoshi? Yeah. God, I gotta play those games. All 5 of them. The real question is, should I play Zero Escape first, or should I play I first? Because I've experienced all 3 Zero Escape games before, but I've only experienced I-1. I haven't experienced I-2. Which is also really funny, because I bought the special edition of I-2 when it got announced, so I have the Aiba statue up on a shelf. So he put the letter away when he saw you.
Early reporter gets worm. End quote. That's my secret.
I'm not sure I follow.
It's the night of the interview. I arrive 15 minutes ahead of schedule. Handle turns, the door opens, and I barge in.
You sure that's okay to do? I mean, isn't that unlawful entry, really?
Mr. Misham sure seemed to think so. You should have seen him. He crammed his letter into that yellow envelope as fast as he could. I know a secret when I spot one, and that was one.
This seems significant. Oh, Mr. Justice? I wonder. It does have the ring of something important. The defense finds this testimony vital, Your Honor. Very well, please add it to the testimony, then.
Hey, why not? My account comes free of charge.
I like that Brushell's voice is literally just Payne's voice, but slightly toned down.
Yellow envelope. I heard it was left at the crime scene.
It was a red envelope, actually, buddy.
Objection!
As it just so happens, there was a single letter in a desk drawer at the scene. In a red envelope.
What?
Prosecutor Gavin. Yes, that was not your voice. Was a yellow envelope found at the scene of the crime? Unfortunately, no. But her forehead. It's easy to mistake the color of an envelope. I guess, but not this envelope. You see, it was postmarked already, 7 years ago. Oh, Mr. Brushell?
I can explain that. Drew, right? You wanted to get that letter in an envelope, pronto. Get it out of sight of my beady eyes, right? I grabbed the nearest envelope and crammed away.
What about the whole red and yellow envelope contradiction, chump? Well, Mr. Justice, have you anything to say to the witness's claim? That night, the victim put a letter he had been writing in a red envelope. Oh wait, that's wrong because this is addressed to him. That's impossible. Ah, I like your expression. So full of confidence. It's simple, really. I've lost Gavin's voice completely. Hopefully it'll come back. I blame Orange Clavier. As it just so happens, the defense team investigated the contents of this envelope with the assistance of a forensic scientist. But note that this letter is addressed to Drew Misham.
No?
Why would he address a letter to himself? Let alone send a suicide note to himself.
I've been scooped.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, for the longest time, I didn't realize that that was his tie that he wraps around his head. I thought that it was his tongue, which made it significantly grosser, but like, it's still gross. Order, order, order. Mr. Brushell, can you explain this to the court?
Oh, my. How could I have forgotten? I suppose this happens to be suppose this happens to the best of us. Reporter gets old, forgets lots, end quote.
I'm still waiting for an explanation, Mr. Brushell.
Well, that's the thing, see? After he put his letter in that envelope, Mr. Misham sat there searching his desk drawer for something.
His desk drawer?
Yes, a stamp. A so-called postage stamp, end quote.
Stamp? Whatever for?
Well, to mail his letter, what else? And then, why yes, I think I saw him put it in his letterbox. Yes, it was a yellow envelope. He put it in that box.
Well, apparently this yellow letter has nothing to do with this case.
Oh, how I wish it did. Just think if that were a suicide note. What a story. Star writes suicide note in front of a reporter. False. End quote.
As I was saying, that has nothing to do with this case. That said... Yes, Your Honor? Makes me wonder about the contents of that red envelope. $100,000 is quite a good deal of money. So, this was from 7 years ago, yeah? I've lost your voice. I'm sorry, Gavin. Sorry, Clavier, Gavin. Brain fart.
So, am I finished? Here, I mean, am I finished here? I was thinking of, you know, going home to start writing.
I hate to say what should be pretty obvious to anyone. But when you catch the scent of a story, you make that a rather unique face.
Yeah, come on. Attorney has active imagination. Little else, end quote.
I noticed something, and my eyes aren't what they used to be. Oh, I'm starting to understand what all this perceiving stuff is about. Judge has active imagination, end quote. Please continue your testimony. It's about the scent of a story.
Hey, I'm the one asking the questions here. Usually.
I just realized I'm gonna need to make thumbnails for this game. And knowing me, I'm probably gonna, like, I'm probably gonna need more portraits to put on the thumbnails, so I'm probably gonna have to put Spark Brushel on a thumbnail for this case.
Actually, it took a bit of work to get a thumbs up on the interview. Reporter leverages story, gets his interview, end quote. Story concerned a certain case from 7 years ago. That red envelope probably had something to do with it. Say what you will, but Drew's talent is without compare.
Or was without compare. You threatened to go to the press with this story. That's how you got your interview. Blackmail.
Well, yes. I mean, no. I wasn't exactly, it wasn't exactly black. I mean, I'm not,
Wrong, Mr. Brushel.
Look. This is my story, my tidbit. Journalist info is livelihood, end quote.
I see.
Oh, you have me chatting away in here. What's going on out there? What if some Wally Wordsworth, or Sally Scooper gets wind of my story? I could be going to press while I'm going to waste.
Court feels your pain, Mr. Brushel. Mr. Justice, let's pick up the pace. Certain case, 7 years ago. Wait, 7 years ago?
Actually, it took a bit of work to get a thumbs up on the interview.
Okay, the fact that we have access to this currently, I do not want to be up close to your face, Mr. Brushel, but... You know, I do feel mean, like, saying that Brushel looks gross, because apparently he's based off of someone from the Ace Attorney team. I do not wish to look at your face, but I must. Nope. This one? No. Stop. What? Okay. It always throws me off how it doesn't scroll the text again when you go back. Okay, I'm just gonna go through and press all of this.
Actually, it took a bit of work to get a thumbs up on the interview.
Hold it! The victim, Drew Misham, had an aversion to reporters?
Boy, I guess. Not even my considerable charms did much for him. Until I got my thumbs up, that is.
Maybe you can elaborate on that a bit for us.
Reporter leverages story to get his interview. End quote.
Hold it! Exactly what sort of story was this?
Oh, a little one, like I said. Nothing more, nothing less. Nothing in between. End quote. I might have suggested I had a lead on this particular story. But I didn't threaten or cajole or nothing, honest.
So suggestion was enough to get an interview. Mr. Misham must have really wanted to keep it under wraps.
The story concerned a certain case from 7 years ago.
Hold it! Certain case, 7 years ago? Tell us, what case?
Let me state one thing, Mr. Attorney, and you can quote me on this. I can't talk about that case.
Why not?
It's about journalistic pride and staunchness and credibility and connections. Journalist reveals sources only over his dead body, end quote. And so, what'll it be? Gonna strangle me? Dead men don't tell tales, Mr. Attorney.
He sounds pretty determined not to talk.
Our chances of breaking his will aren't looking good.
That red envelope probably had something to do with it.
Hold it! On the one hand, we have your story, and on the other, this letter. What makes you think the two are related?
Oh, I was just saying it's possible. Call it reporter's intuition, end quote. Hey, I say a lot of things. You gonna pick all of them apart? Be my guest.
All of them? No, just the incredibly suspicious ones. I see. Anything else to add about Mr. Misham?
Say what you will, but Drew's talent was without compare.
Hold it! Just how amazing was Mr. Misham's talent?
Huh? Wee boy, I mean, hey, he's a star, man, a star. The flow of his brush is like a great undulating river across the canvas. Artist paints light up the studio like sun, end quote.
This guy is full of wacky gestures. That one just now was wackier than usual.
He looks kind of nervous to me, Apollo.
Definitely. I'm sensing something different than before here. Maybe it's time to bring out you-know-what.
That testimony left a bad taste in my mouth.
That'll make sense. Nothing jumps out as ridiculous.
I wonder what this story he's talking about is. It must have been good to get an interview with a famous recluse like that.
Something powerful enough to drag Drew Misham out of hiding. I wonder. Maybe it had something to do with Mr. Misham's art. Huh. Huh. Nothing's really jumping out at me at this point. Story concerned a certain case from 7 years ago. Red envelope probably has something to do. Oh wait, whoops, I didn't mean to press that. I meant to go into perceive mode. Huh. Man, I'm not seeing anything here.
Hold it!
Just how amazing was Mr. Mission's talent? Star. This guy's full of wacky gestures, but that one just now is wackier than you. So, I think it's on that last statement, but, if it is on this last statement, it's something, like, significantly more subtle. Okay, I know that the thing is, egging me on to do, yeah, that's what I was thinking, like, unless you're talking about the phrase in the perceive section.
Objection!
Huh. Say what you will.
Gotcha!
Oh, I didn't mean to do that. That was an accident.
Action!
I'm a bit stumped here. Maybe it had something to do with Mr. Misham's art. Say what you will, but Drew's talent was without compare. First statement? I'm open to suggestions. What was that? Did I, like, hallucinate that? Oh, he's sweating. Okay.
Gotcha!
Great. Hey, Not, how are you doing? I know that you were here before, but welcome back from your lurk. Sweat much, Mr. Brushel?
Yeah, well, a man can't help his glands, you know?
Don't say it like that. It's more than that. When Mr. Misham's talent was mentioned, you suddenly began to sweat buckets.
Yeah.
You're hiding something about his talent.
What? That's ridiculous.
Evidence time. Let's show where Mr. Misham's true talent lay. It just so happens that I have evidence showing the talent mentioned in that letter.
Take that! I can't help but wonder what the court is supposed to conclude from this evidence.
Oh.
Other than that you've made a horrible mistake. Man burns bridge, forgets to cross first. End quote.
What? All I have to do is reveal what Mr. Misham really was. That shouldn't be so hard, right? That's bullshit, by the way. It's not this, is it?
Take that!
Also, give me a sec. Man, you want to know what would be fun to stream? That I have, like, very, very vague childhood memories of. But they're, like, vague enough to the point that I don't remember, like, anything about it, including the name of the game. I think it's either it's either a PS2 game or a PS1 game that's a Yu-Gi-Oh game. I don't know that probably doesn't narrow it down very much, but there was I think it was a PS1 game that was a Yu-Gi-Oh game that I played a bit at one of my uncle's houses. And I remember that game, like, I have fond memories of it despite not having many memories of it. This painting was found in Mr. Misham's studio. Forbidden Memories? Is that what it's called? There are two problems with this painting. The first is that it wasn't painted by Mr. Misham. We haven't verified that, Apollo. The second is that there was another painting in the studio, which looked exactly like this one, except it was only half done. Then we have a letter discussing a payment of $100,000, which suggests a certain business operation. The business of making forgeries. Ah! You think Sparkbrushel has a skull, or do you think that his skull is like Jello? That is all, Your Honor.
Everyone, please, everyone. Can we keep this private, please? This is my story, my scoop.
Forgery? That is a serious crime.
Drew Misham is known as an artist these days. But there were rumors he dabbled in another kind of art until a few years back. He sold NFTs at one point. But there were rumors he dabbled in another kind of art a few years back.
For art meaning forgery?
Drew Misham was talented, all right. Talented at making precise, detailed fakes. A fact that certain criminal elements were quick to discover.
Criminal elements? What? You can't seriously be talking about...
Exactly. I'm talking about forging evidence. The rumors started circulating 7 years ago.
7 years ago? Oh, we understand that this letter, this payment of 100,000 was for...
Exactly. Forged evidence. That's tidy profit. End quote.
Order, order, order. Why, it's like our victim was living a double life. Ha! This is my chance. So the victim had ties to the criminal world, right? He could have had plenty of enemies we know nothing about.
Objection!
This is my first time hearing of this criminal world. We certainly found no criminal connections when we conducted our investigation.
Objection!
But how do you explain all this money? You have to admit that there's a possibility of some illegal activity here.
Objection!
But there is no proof tying this letter to our case. Our case was and remains simple from the beginning. The only defendant could have poisoned that, only the defendant could have poisoned that mug that night. And you, of course.
Hey, the only thing I poison is my pen when I'm writing reviews.
Wait. Did fucking Great Ace Attorney 2 make a callback to that line? Am I going crazy? Because that was like the plot of the first case in Great Ace Attorney 2. Was someone stole poison using a pen. Mr. Brushel, your testimony to this point has been quite unreliable. It doesn't speak well of your reporting acumen.
What are you talking about? My journalism is rock solid. Journalism so solid you can stand an elephant on it. End quote.
In any case, let's hear a summarized recap of your testimony. We can ascertain the situation in that studio from the recap. The trial is over.
Apollo, what's he talking about?
Cross-examination showed Mr. Brushel didn't have reason or means to poison him. As long as there's no other suspects, then the killer had to be Vera. That's what. This next text... Wow, why am I tripping over my words so much? This next testimony is our last chance. Mr. Brushel, your testimony, please.
The only other person in the studio that night was the defendant. It was Vera who poured the coffee. She's admitted as much herself. The only thing that touched Drew's lips during the interview was that mug. And nothing left that studio after he died. Nothing. And clearly, the only one who could have poisoned him was his daughter.
A nice testimony. Clear, succinct, and without room for doubt.
Aw, shucks. You really think so?
I believe this clarifies the situation that night. Very well, Mr. Justice. You will begin your final cross-examination. Right. Still have one trump card left to play. And I won't let this trial end until I use it. What trump card are you talking about? No, Mr. Brushel, I do not think so.
The only person in the studio that night was the defendant.
Hold it!
That doesn't prove Vera poisoned it.
Objection!
How many times have we heard that one, Air Forehead? The poison reached its victim via that coffee mug. And from where did that coffee come from, Not to beat a dead horse again and again, but perhaps you could fill us in.
I'm on it. You need a horse beat? I'm your man. It was Vera who poured the coffee. She admitted as much herself.
Hold it!
And you witnessed her pouring the coffee.
Of course I didn't witness it. When she came in with that tray, the coffee was already poured and a-steamin'.
Let us not forget, the defendant has admitted to pouring the coffee herself. I heard her statement. I poured, I served, and I killed. What? That last part was just a little joke. I don't think I'm gonna get anywhere with this coffee mug. I need to find another weak spot in this case.
The only thing that touched Drew's lips during that interview was that mug.
Oh, no. That's, factually incorrect. He licked the envelope to seal it. I think that's where they're going with this. Confidence.
Objection!
I shouldn't have had confidence. No confidence.
The only thing that touched Drew's lips during the interview was that mug.
Hold it!
Hey, Skull Team, how are you doing? Welcome in. You're sure about that?
Well, to be really, really precise, I was busy gobbling mint candies the whole time.
One of those candies might have been poisoned.
Objection!
Yet, at the time of the autopsy, no fresh fragrance of the mint filled the room. And no, mint residue was found. This is a long shot anyway. Don't tell me you're still trying to prove this. You think the victim ate, drank, or otherwise ingested something other than the coffee? Well, Mr. Justice, I have some proof. Possibility is there, I can feel it. Just maybe not prove it. Not yet. Possibility isn't gonna cut it. Not now. Mr. Misham ingested that poison via a route other than that coffee. So we have this envelope, and this envelope was given to us by Phoenix. This one was found in the thing. Not yet. It can't be proven. I do believe our little forehead is growing up. Pity. We liked the rash, youthful forehead best. Another hole in this case, or another hole in this case that needs plugging before I can prove anything. First things first, I'd better uncover a weak spot before I try to strike again. On with the cross-examination.
And nothing left that studio after he died. Nothing.
Hold it!
Not one thing. You're sure?
Yep, sure as sure can be. Well, with one exception.
An exception? What?
Journalist Spark Brushell does interview. Leaves studio. End quote. Come on. It's a joke. Get it? Not funny, I know, but still.
Someone leave the studio that night. Why does that sound familiar? Where have I heard something like that before? Now we've proven our witness is a comedian of sorts. I'd like to turn to our defense attorney before returning to the testimony. Have any idea what, if anything, might have left the studio that night? Just one thing. I think one thing might very well have left the studio that night, actually. A certain something that has vanished from the crime scene. By which you mean? Something other than our witness. Of course. Don't tell me. Vera Misham. Believe me, any comic relief I might provide is entirely unintentional. I love Apollo, he's great. And let's see what you've got for us, Mr. Justice. Well, this thing wasn't at the scene of the crime, so I can't show it to you. But I do have evidence that shows how it could have been taken from the scene.
Take that!
This is the only link between that studio and the outside world. Letterbox? What did Mr. Brushell just tell us? When he entered the studio on the night of the murder, the victim had just finished writing a letter.
Yeah, I said that. And yeah, it was true.
Furthermore, you went on to tell us that he put the letter in a yellow envelope and put it in the letterbox. Ah. But that very same letterbox was empty. In other words, that night, the yellow envelope disappeared.
Objection!
Ah, yes, intriguing. So, an envelope has disappeared from the scene of the crime. Of course, this changes nothing. Huh? He has a point, Mr. Justice. What we're trying to figure out here is how the poison got into Mr. Misham. Is it really important that this envelope the witness says he saw disappeared? Well, if it did disappear, then something did leave the studio that night. That seems very important to me. Oh, Clavier, have you ever watched a little show called Seinfeld? Very well then, the witness will add this to his testimony.
You got it.
I still think this fails to change anything, Air Forehead. I wouldn't be so sure. A letter disappeared from the crime scene that night. This is exactly the opening I've been looking for.
The letter was put in the post from the studio, but I hardly think that matters.
Hold it!
Nothing could be more serious than an envelope disappearing from that studio. And you are hiding that fact from us.
Yes, well, actually.
I don't argue the possibility that the letter disappeared from that studio. But Air Forehead, isn't there a much more serious question before us? Right. How Mr. Misham was poisoned, I know. Mr. Brushell's testimony has changed, which means the facts of the case have too. And what he's told us means something entirely different now. Or now I'm starting to think.
Let's keep thinking, Apollo.
Clearly, the only one who could have poisoned him was his daughter.
So can I don't have the other envelope as evidence. So, can I press this again? You're sure about that? To be really, really precise, it's the same dialogue.
Objection!
Mr. Justice, do you have some proof? Possibility isn't going to cut it, not now. Mr. Misham ingested the poison via a route other than that coffee. He says possibility isn't going to cut it, not now. So I don't think I actually have the evidence for this. Oh, wait. Oh, okay. Why make it sound like I'm gonna present evidence, game, and then...
Hold it! Objection!
I can prove it. Proof is possible. Here goes nothing. You do understand what we need, yeah? Proof, Air Forehead, not possibilities. Of course. And, Prosecutor Gavin, I hope you understand. I'm ready to give you that proof. What did you say? Oh, okay, I think I see. I have proof of the disappearing envelope.
I saw him writing a letter, I did.
Picked up by the mailman, I assume. Of course, which means... that envelope had a stamp on it. Stamp? Ah. As we all know, stamps come with dried glue on the back. In order to use the glue, you have to wet it. By licking the stamp.
Objection!
No one was talking to actually lick stamps in this day and age.
Objection!
Even if you wanted to talk to him, you couldn't. He's dead after all.
Objection!
Okay, so he licked the stamp. But wait. How does that explain the atroquinine in the rim of the coffee mug?
Objection!
If he licked the back of a poisoned stamp, the poison would get on his tongue, yes? What would then happen if he put the coffee mug to his mouth, Those traces on the mug weren't the killer's doing. It was the other way around. What? The coffee mug didn't poison Mr. Misham. Mr. Misham poisoned the coffee mug himself. Order, order, order. But that does it? Recall, if you would. Atroquinine is a slow-acting poison, yes? The poison entered his body when he put the stamp on that envelope. But his time wasn't up until the very moment he touched his lips to that cup of joe. Also, weird little snag in my mind with the whole poisoning the mug itself thing. How would Vera know exactly where her dad was gonna put the cup when he took a sip? Because the only strip that had atroquinine on it was the tiny strip where his lips touched the mug instead of all the way around the rim. I don't know. This isn't a turnabout serenade, like, this doesn't make any sense, but just a thought. But his time wasn't up until the very moment he touched his lips to that cup of joe. Apollo and Clavier are both idiots. You can poison a mug with paste or paint. What if I painted my mug with lead paint? You should scrape the paint off of this mug with your teeth. It only makes sense if you don't examine it closely. Okay, that's actually a fair point, Skull Team. If she knew if he was left or right-handed, which she would, because, you know, it's her dad and he's literally an artist. Like, that's a reasonable explanation. I have something to add, Mr. Brushel. Uh-oh, his nose is picking up another scent.
As I believe I mentioned earlier. Well, that's the thing, see? After he put his letter in that envelope, Mr. Misham sat there searching his desk drawer for something. Yes, a stamp. A so-called postage stamp. End quote. But, you know, I don't seem to remember him ever finding one.
Yeah. Maybe he just run out? Incidentally, we searched the desk drawer at the scene of the crime. There were no stamps. Not a single one. That does pose a problem. How will you prove that the stamp was coated with poison? Actually, I'm glad no other stamps were found. It makes proving the stamp he used was poison possible. Good show, good show. You can't even prove there was a stamp at the scene in the first place. We found at the scene of the crime a post-it note with an arrow and the words "lips here." Well, let's hear what the defense has to say anyway. Where's your evidence that proves the existence of this poisoned stamp? The tiny frame.
Take that!
Oh, that certainly is a cute little frame. And by little, I mean really little. It was on the victim's desk, Your Honor. Quite empty, as you can see for yourself. I noticed that too during my inspection. So what? Ah, apparently you weren't as I love, okay, it's one of my favorite things in Ace Attorney whenever you get, like, sass. Ah, apparently you weren't as observant as you should have been. You see, when you saw this frame, it was missing something quite important. Missing something? Yes, a pale bluish stain on the inside of the frame. Atroquinine residue. Also, sorry, give me a sec. What? Why wasn't I told about this? The frame is only 2 inches square. The face of the frame is even smaller. Maybe an inch wide at most. You aren't saying. Oh, but I am. Tell me, what fits in such a small frame? A commemorative stamp, perhaps? Order, order, order. Poison stamp was in this frame. Impossible. I can't do these single word, like, I need a lead-in to be able to figure out where the accent is. Prosecutor Gavin? Why would he put something in like that on his desk? Don't tell me he'd had it there so he could commit suicide if the mood struck.
No, can I say something? I had a thought, see?
What, Mr. Russell? Please stop jittering around like that.
The victim was a forger, right? There's a lot of money in that line of work. The forger forges friends, makes enemies too. End quote.
So the poison stamp might have been a murder weapon aimed at him?
Objection!
Oh, rich. That's rich. Leave the ridiculous flights of fancy to the governor's song lyrics, please. But you don't have a band anymore, Clavier. You literally arrested your second guitar, like, last month. Or, I guess it was 3 months ago, but... Finally, something we agree on. The stamp was a murder weapon? Nonsense. Murder is a simple business. Who would go to such lengths? No one. Oh, I disagree. Come again? Recall, if you would, the victim's reclusive lifestyle. Wow. It is of no problem, Air Forehead. I will be the band's first and second guitar. Drew Misham hid from the world. He avoided meetings. His only contact with the outside world was the mail. Mail? Now, if you wanted to kill someone you couldn't meet, but you knew red letters, a stamp would be the perfect weapon. Ridiculous. Where is your proof? I want proof. It was a whole deal with, they were smuggling cocoons that are like, if you refine them in the right way, they're cures. If you don't refine them correctly, they become poison. They tried to smuggle some of them out of Borginia, and Mr. Latouche was a Interpol agent sent down to hunt them. Show us evidence that this poison stamp was sent to him as a murder weapon. I might not have evidence per se. Oh, that would be awesome, Skull Team. Just have any of y'all seen that picture of Ronnie from Elden Ring playing 2 guitars at the same time? I might not have evidence per se, but things are finally starting to come together.
What is it, Apollo? Your fists are trembling.
I think I know what happened. I don't believe it, but I can see it. There's this picture that's Ronnie shredding on 2 guitars at the same time, because she's got 4 arms. And so she's shredding on 2 guitars at the same time, and it's great. I think I know how Mr. Misham was killed. Oh, listen, Mr. Justice. A certain piece of evidence points to the truth, Your Honor. I can show you how someone with the intent to kill sent Mr. Misham the stamp of death. It's this, because it mentions the stamp, right? Sign the papers and send in the enclosed envelope with the enclosed stamp within 3 days. Yep.
Take that!
Isn't this the envelope? One from 7 years ago. Think about the text of the letter again. There were 2 pages in the envelope. This is page 1. And this is page 2. I want to draw your attention to one phrase in particular. Send in the enclosed envelope with the enclosed... Yeah, the enclosed envelope with the enclosed stamp within 3 days. Wow. I swear, like... Genuinely, I think I genuinely might be, like, dyslexic and dyscalculic. The enclosed stamp, Your Honor.
Ah. In other words, if I have this straight, the stamp, poison on the stamp. Lick, end quote.
Now, what if he had done exactly as the letter asked?
He would sign the document, put it in the envelope, and put the stamp on it, right? And then he would put it in this letterbox.
Post turnabout gas leak disorder. I want somebody to make a fan game that just like it's like the most shitpost fan game, and it's just like I want the opening case to be turnabout gas leak and lead into the rest of all the shitposts. 15 minutes wouldn't have elapsed between affixing the stamp and mailing the letter. But the clock started ticking, and when the time came, he drew his last breath, and the murder weapon would be taken away from the scene. Quite conveniently, thanks to the postal system. Such a splendid imagination you have, Air Forehead. Oh, yeah. I remember that case. Let me confirm one thing with you, if I might. Yeah, that's in Greatest Attorney 2. So, this poison stamp was inside this envelope from 7 years ago, yeah? Is that what you really have us believe? Really? Well...
It is a little bit of a stretch, but there's a possibility.
Yes, a very small possibility. How small, I wonder? A poisoned stamp in this envelope. A stamp that became the murder weapon. How do you intend to prove this seeming coincidence?
Well...
7 years ago. We don't even know who sent that letter. And your answer is silence, I see. Very well. I move to... It's not nice to pick on the Fraulein, Clavier. Oh, huh? You? What? Gas leak. Yeah, I've played the original trilogy and DGS 1 and 2. And I have knowledge of this game and little bits of Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice. But don't put spoilers in. That was a gas leak. Ah, Emma.
Well, like my Christoph Gavin impression. Did I sound like him?
Don't quit your day job. Apparently you had enough to convince Clavier with the gas leak that... Christoph jump scare, yeah. Don't you have a crime scene to be looking after, Fraulein Detective?
Someone had to come dig you out of the mess you're making of this case.
Mess?
You know, none of this would happen if you just trusted in science a little more. You can find out if that stamp was in that envelope easy.
Care to explain yourself, Fraulein Detective?
Glare at me all you want, but science is on my side. It's all in the residue, right?
That's right! Poison detection spray. Use the red envelope at once. Open it on the authority of the court. I keep forgetting that you have to actually press the A button to examine it. Well, would you look at that?
No mistaking it. That's atroquinine residue.
Five Nights in the Gaviners. I would play that game. I don't believe it. Murder weapon from the past. Now, 7 years later, it bears its fangs at last.
Objection!
Absolutely outrageous. Tell me why didn't this murder take place 7 years ago? Well,
There's one possibility. Maybe Mr. Misham figured it out.
figured what out?
He realized that the person who sent that letter wanted him dead. And so he sent his reply with a different stamp.
What is decisive evidence in a frame? You're still here?
Can I make a statement here on the record? I, Spark Razor Toothbrush'll claim the scoop is mine. Drew Misham killed in cold blood. By sender of 7-year-old letter, end quote. No, maybe something more succinct. Star falls after 7-year delay, end quote.
Order, order, order. I see no room for further argument here. Though I admit this is all coming as quite a shock. To think that the murder weapon reached his mouth after 7 years. Stamp is the ticket straight to the afterlife. End quote.
Uh-oh, I think the witness is a bad influence on our judge.
I see no need for further debate on this matter. The sender of that letter 7 years ago could hardly have been our defendant.
Apollo?
I think we just won. Very well, this court finds the defendant.
Objection!
Yeah, I know, right? If this is the bright future, if this is the bright future of our legal system, or is this? Prosecutor Gavin? A ticket to the afterlife from 7 years ago. Tickets for Governor shows are invalid after 2 weeks. But it doesn't make sense any other way. It boggles my mind that so many people haven't noticed this. There's a fatal contradiction in Air Forehead's claim. Contradiction? A poison stamp was placed in this envelope 7 years ago. Whereupon it was framed until now. If that is the case, why would Drew Misham have done what he did? Emma, explain that. He must have realized it was poisoned. Yeah, too convenient for an Ace Attorney game. Therein lies the rub. 7 years ago, the forger Drew Misham sensed a trap and put the stamp in the frame. I do not debate this, but this begs the question. Why 7 years later did he use that stamp on the night of the murder? Surely you don't mean to suggest that Mr. Misham simply forgot. Yeah. He put the murder weapon in the frame on his desk for 7 years and forgot? You expect us to believe he springs a trap on himself? Well, I admit this is all quite shocking myself. It does seem highly unlikely that he would fall afoul of a trap. It had been sitting on his desk for 7 years.
Apollo?
People can be very dumb, yeah. I don't think we're winning anymore. I'm glad to see we're all back in the real world now. Welcome back to reality. We've been waiting for you.
Objection!
Okay, then how do you explain the poison stamp that was in this envelope? The poison stamp. Where exactly is this poison stamp again? Have you brought it to court for us? I see no proof that such a thing ever existed.
Objection!
about the atroquinine residue, huh? Oh, I agree. That does seem to be atroquinine residue. But, Air Forehead, it's certainly no stamp. Yeah, but even if your precious poison stamp did exist, Drew Misham never would have used it. That is all. I believe we've come to a conclusion, again.
Apollo, were we wrong the whole time?
I can't believe it. The poison traces match up. It can't be a coincidence. I'd like to bring some closure to this issue sometime this year. Mr. Justice? Yes, Your Honor? Let's review the facts and see where we stand. 7 years ago, Drew Misham received a red envelope. Traces of the poison, atroquinine, on the document inside that envelope. A similar trace was also found at the crime scene. In this tiny picture frame, evidence has indicated the possibility of a yellow envelope. Envelope that left the scene of the crime with the poison stamp on it. Yes, but even if this envelope contained the poison stamp, and Drew Misham, knowing this, put it in a frame, he never would have used that stamp. I'm afraid you're right. Which means there is a fatal flaw in the defense's case. I haven't been on the wrong track this whole time. I'm sure of it. Yeah, exactly. Ace Attorney 100% functions off of guilty until proven innocent. The Ace Attorney courts function off of Twitter rules. Traces of atroquinine, the envelope, the frame, Drew Misham's mysterious death. They're all connected somehow. Well, Mr. Justice, you have a conclusion for us. Defense stands by its case, Your Honor. We've seen that the logical outcome of the evidence makes no sense, which means that one of our clues must be a fake. Ah, a fake clue? Fascinating. And if we find this fake, your wild fantasies will prove quite reasonable, yeah? Fake clue that's thrown us off the poison's trail is none other than... Fake clue that's thrown us off the poison's trail. Also, give me a sec. Sorry about that. Fake clue that's thrown us all off the poison's trail. I want to say the frame, because I don't think that the red envelope is fake. It's frame. Fake clue. Without a doubt, Your Honor.
Objection!
Wasn't it you who presented this evidence to the court? Oh.
Hold on a second, Apollo. The poison on the envelope, that frame, and the coffee mug. They're all connected somehow.
Oh, right. Heard already. It looks like the fake was you here, Air Forehead.
We can flog ourselves later, Apollo. Now's the time for thinking.
Fake clue, yep, cool. It's Drew Misham himself. The victim was a fake clue. I'm afraid I don't understand. I'll explain. We have an envelope, a frame, and a mug, linked by poison. That all makes sense. What doesn't make sense is the victim himself.
Objection!
Congratulations, you've completely lost me. So the fake evidence is none other than the master of the fake himself, the forger. It makes a good story, I'll give you that. Fake clue. Fakes, forgeries. Ah.
I know that face. That's the I just had an idea face.
I don't know if I'm right, but I'm going with it anyway. What if our forger is the fake? Come again. 7 years ago, our forger sniffed a trap and stepped aside. 7 years passed. Now the forger stumbles into that very same trap and dies. Why? That's what I want to know. Because the forger who was killed was a fake. Here we are again. The victim was a fake. One forger smelled the trap, one forger fell into the trap. That's 2 forgers, and one of them was a fake. We're really going with this? Like, I thought that this was incorrect, but order. So you're telling us the Drew Misham, the victim, was a fake. Well, if he was the fake, who was the real forger? You'd better not be claiming there was some kind of switcheroo. Afraid you're going to have to back up your story. Okay, I see it. I see where we're going with this now. I'm afraid you're going to have to back up your story. Justice, show us just who the real Drew Misham was. Drew Misham wasn't the real forger. There's only one other person it could have been. Understood, Your Honor. Forger Drew Misham was himself a forgery. The real forger was Vera Misham. I don't know why, but the little breakdancing emote that you've got not along with the pursuit theme, just it cracks me up looking at it. There can be only one explanation, really. The real identity of the forger, known as Drew Misham, is none other than his only daughter, Vera Misham. Order. Mr. Justice, this is going out on a limb, even for you.
I kinda agree. I mean, Vera, a forger.
Let's consider it before you write it off entirely. If you look at the paintings in the studio, one fact becomes clear. Forgery had been taking place in that studio for quite some time. The forger wasn't caught in that trap 7 years ago. This can only mean that the one who was caught in the trap wasn't the forger. Well, actually, that does make a certain kind of sense. One more thing. Only 2 sets of fingerprints were found in the forger's studio. Drew Misham's and Vera Misham's. If we know that Drew Misham wasn't the forger, that leaves only one possibility by process of elimination. The forger was Vera Misham. Well, fascinating. Vera Misham. Been paying attention to the trial so far. Let's just ask her and be done with it, shall we? Who are you? Who is the forger, Drew Misham? Was that an expression of emotion I saw on her face? She's staring holes into Prosecutor Gavin's face. I'm used to being stared at by Fräuleins, believe me. So they usually talk to me, too. Tell us, were you the one who forged these works of art?
Yes.
Oh, the forger, Drew Misham, was you?
Yes, it was me.
What? Court was in an uproar, and it wasn't coming down. We had to break for a 10-minute recess.
Okay, so where exactly does this leave us, Apollo?
Well, the Drew Misham who was killed wasn't Drew Misham the forger, basically.
Huh? Well then, who was he?
Well, he was actually doing her nails. So, you really made those forgeries?
Yes, for Father. I know it was wrong. Could you tell us how it happened? My father was a painter. I loved painting ever since I was a child. One day, Father saw it in me. He saw that I had the talent. The talent for making forgeries. How should I say it? It was not only paintings that I made. Given the materials, I could make anything.
Anything?
Father was so proud, and I so happy. But in the end, I was making those.
Forgeries.
I've never had a good constitution, nor personality. I know very little of the world outside my door. Now, because of me, Father is... Do you know about this red envelope? I remember that envelope. It was some time ago.
So you were already, you were already creating your works back then.
I started when I was only 12 years old.
So the one who figured out the stamp was poisoned. That was... Mr. Justice, it's time. To the courtroom, please. Right. Out of time.
Wait, Vera. Just one more thing, please. Those 3 paintings in the studio. I painted those as part of my work.
Vera is a true hardcore gamer, never leaving the house.
Right. And see, we checked them out and we saw what was underneath. We saw the rough sketches underneath the 3 finished paintings. I see. Mr. Justice.
Yes?
Father, he knew of you. Of both of you.
Your late father?
He was watching, gathering information. All about the Wright & Co. law offices.
Give her 15 years and she'll be a VTuber.
But lately, we're not doing just law. Yes, you do tricks, gags to amuse, and play piano. Well, they're not really gags. Yet when Father heard you had resumed the legal business, how pleased he was. Who was Mr. Misham?
Haum? I genuinely don't think I've ever seen that contraction before. Like, I know that that's supposed to be how am, but like, Haum? I don't think I've ever seen that spelt out before. How am I supposed to know?
What if he was Daddy's daddy?
Judging from the relative ages involved, I'd say it's highly unlikely. Things are already confusing enough with all the daddies running around. And we know that the victim's daughter, Vera, was the forger. What does this mean for the case? So we're about to find out. He's even got the striped socks. The court is now back in session. Vera seems pretty tense. She's practically chewing her fingernails clean off. Perhaps you could begin by telling us how it all worked. How did you set up this Drew Misham forger persona? Here's that stare again. She's drilling more holes into his head.
I know it's hard for you, but hey, he's a handsome guy.
What's hard? Other than me. Very well, miss, if you would. You really make those detestable forgeries? Perhaps you'd rather answer my question. Vera is the one who painted that painting. The remarkably similar one.
Yes. I painted it, yes. Father praised me quite highly for it.
Oh, she was the one who made the forgeries. Yet, she did not wish to reveal the truth of her operation. So the victim was a stand-in, a decoy. To the world at large, he was the forger, not her.
I've done a bad thing. I have, haven't I?
Regardless, we need a little more information. About, for instance, this. You have seen this before, yeah?
Yes. It was in the desk drawer.
Very well, you may proceed with your testimony. Tell us everything you know about this envelope. You know, I know that it's like standard for Ace Attorney at this point, but like, I wasn't expecting an intermission in the trial.
I created things, and Father sold them. This envelope came after my first work. That was other than a painting. And Father handled the deal. All of it. I received the stamp that was in that envelope. It was after that job that we moved into the current studio.
There certainly was much of great interest in your testimony. Not that the witness realizes it. Very well, please begin the cross-examination. Right, okay. Need more information about this forger. This Drew Misham.
I created things, and Father sold them.
Hold it!
So, these things you were making, you mean paintings identical to other paintings, right?
The closer they were, the happier Father was. I was happy too.
Oh, you're quite young now. When did you begin this work?
My first paintings sold when I was 12.
Your Honor, she had no idea what she was doing was illegal.
Objection!
Easy there, little attorney. You're not here to defend her for the crime of forgery. True. Please tell us more about this envelope. This envelope that may very well have killed your father.
All right. This envelope came after my first work. That was other than a painting.
Hold it!
Tell me if I'm being too quiet with Vera's voice, like... By other than a painting, you mean... You'd only done paintings up to that point.
Yes. But Father had a realization. He noticed my talent extended to making things other than paintings.
For instance?
For instance, a letter someone had written. Or a fingerprint left upon a cup. Or a signature on a document. A seal upon a letter.
None of this makes her sound very innocent at all. And the $100,000 was promised in this letter was the start. The beginning of a new industry for Drew Mission. New industry? The creation of items to be used in criminal proceedings. Forging evidence, in other words. Uh-oh.
Father handled the deal. All of it.
Hold it!
So, you didn't know how the things you were making were being used?
I enjoy painting very much.
I think I understand. The Fraulein has lived in an unusual little world. Can you tell us what happened to the papers that were in this envelope?
Father signed them and sent them back, I believe.
Did he follow the instructions? Send in the enclosed envelope with the enclosed stamp? This is a rather important matter. Give your answer some thought.
I received the stamp that was in that envelope.
Hold it!
What do you mean you received it?
Did I do something wrong?
You didn't use that stamp because it was dangerous, correct? Deadly poison on the back. At your quinine.
Objection!
A moment, Air Forehead. You can't force an answer upon the witness. Now then, perhaps you would tell me more, Fraulein Vera. Why did you receive this stamp? Something wrong.
It was beautiful.
Ah, you mean it was one of those commemorative stamps?
Yes, I think it was.
So you didn't know about the poison? I guess not. So the trap failed by chance, by a mistake, thanks to this commemorative stamp. Quite a close call.
It was after that job that we moved into the current studio.
Hold it!
You mean you moved to where the current Drew studio is?
Yes, but we saw very few people there. I began drawing picture books.
This single job had tied them to the criminal underworld. I think Mr. Mission wished to reduce their visibility in the world at large.
When we had to meet someone for some reason, Father posed as the creator of the work.
So that was the real essence of the artist Drew Mission. You did the work and he supplied the face. So, you really didn't know anything, did you? You had no idea how much danger you were in. Apparently not. About this commemorative stamp, could you tell us more about it?
It was very pretty, and more than that.
Yes?
It was a picture of people I liked at the time.
This is something new. Yeah, when Lemur got attacked during the last trial. Apparently, we've got some cross-examination yet ahead of us. If you would be so kind as to continue your testimony, Fraulein.
The stamp was a picture of my favorite magicians, so I kept it.
Hold it!
Magicians?
I love mysterious things. I always have. Even though she fainted when she saw Mr. Hat.
You're confusing mysterious with freaky.
Father took me when I was very young. It was a great magic show. I loved it so much. See? Isn't magic great?
The true connection between Phoenix and Drew Misham is that their daughters make more money than them. True. Fine, great, yeah, sure. No need to get all excited.
But the magic troopers we saw disbanded soon after. I was quite sad.
You know, I'm not gonna lie. That like quivering in that voice was completely by accident. I like choked on a piece of spit while I was trying to do the voice, and that caused that. But it sounded good, so. Did she just say what I think she just said? Magic Troop. Where have I heard that before? Red envelope came after she'd completed her first job. That makes a letter from her client, whoever wanted a forgery made.
Apollo.
Gosh, I might need to lower Trucy's voice a bit. We're close. We just have to piece together the parts. Deadly weapon in a red envelope. And the path it took to take Drew Misham's life. Let's see. I think I need to send the ticket. That's my guess. I'm gonna make a save because I'm very confident. You know how it be. But loud enough that that's picking up on my mic. Apparently not.
Objection!
Okay, cool. Those magicians you liked, was it this bunch?
Apollo, they're not a bunch.
I see. Still, I have to wonder. Why include a commemorative stamp like that in a business letter? Good question.
Well, pretty stamps are always better, and you can't beat Troop Gramarye.
But the whole murder plan was a failure because of it. Ironic, don't you think? Prosecutor Gavin? Prosecutor Gavin? Gramarye? What's with Gavin? Might I ask just one question of this witness? In your testimony just now, you stated this was your first work, that was other than a painting. Yeah, honestly, I feel like one thing that I feel like Ace Attorney would benefit from is, you know how Danganronpa 2 and 3, or 2 and V3, have the option to, rather than object to someone's statements, you have the option to agree with it and provide supporting evidence. I feel like Ace Attorney would benefit greatly from having a mechanic kind of like that. Please, tell me, what exactly did you make?
Can I ask what?
No. Answer the question, now. Prosecutor Gavin. Or usually not the one whose volume concerns me. Yes, it's unbecoming of me, I apologize. But, I must know. Please, Miss Misham, tell me. I've lost his voice.
It was a book. A single page in a book.
A book. Please be more specific.
It was a handwritten book. Like a diary.
I don't know.
What's wrong with Prosecutor Gavin? He looks like he just saw a ghost.
Miss Misham, this book. Was there a picture of a silk hat on the back cover? Yes or no?
How did you know?
Objection!
Fourth case, prosecutor drama. Let's go, baby. Prosecutor Gavin, the defendant is answering all of your questions. Stop badgering her. He's told you nothing, has he? Your soiled, sullied mentor. Nothing? Sullied who? Phoenix Wright. Who else?
Daddy.
He never told you about the trial 7 years ago? About how he came to lose his attorney's badge? It was a certain piece of evidence that decided his fate, you know. A certain diary. On the back, it bore the mark of a silk hat. What? Phoenix Wright tossed out the profession by false evidence, or tossed out of the profession by false evidence. And the forger who made that evidence. Is this girl standing right in front of me? Vera, you must tell us. The evidence you made was used in a trial 7 years ago. Who asked Drew Misham, you, to forge that evidence? For all of our sakes, who was it?
We only met once.
You met the client? Well, who was it?
It was... What's going on with Vera? And she's staring at Prosecutor Gavin's face again.
Yes, what? Is there something about me? Wouldn't Vera be 10 when Phoenix lost his badge? How old does the, court record say she is? He's 19, so she would have been 12, yeah.
I remember clearly. I remember who gave me the book, the diary.
Who was it? Vera?
The devil.
Defendant Vera Misham. Condition unconscious. Examiner's diagnosis. Acute atroquinine poisoning. This ends the recording of the trial for the murder of Drew Misham. Vera Misham was, during the trial, poisoned by an unknown assailant. Dosage was just under the lethal amount, sparing the defendant's life. He's currently in intensive care, and it's not to be disturbed for any reason. Very simple case at first glance. Until it finally began to show its true colors. Long road to the truth takes us to the record of another trial. In some ways, that was the starting point of it all. That's where we must go. Baby Trucy! To find the whole truth. Child. Went out accusing Satan as the true culprit. Also, why did we get a break there when that break only was like half an hour? Like that trial segment was only half an hour. Showdown time. I lost. It's only a game of poker. Game I've played for a long time. Only lost twice. It's the first. And I kill, of course. Well, seems I've found the partner I've been looking for all along. Oh wait, this is Zach. For a game of cards? Why yes, over a game of cards. That was how we first met. 7 years ago. Man, this looks so different. Ew, okay. It's been a long time since I felt like such a rookie. Gonna try and relax. Ah, good morning, Mr. Enigmar. I'm sorry to have sprung this on you so suddenly. I received the files from your previous attorney only yesterday. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure I'm prepared. Also, I guess this isn't Zach. I guess this is Mr. Enigmar. No, the DS does have the save anywhere. Like, you can still save in you can still save in court in the DS version. I understand that I'm asking the impossible of you. Yes, well, you haven't really told me what happened yet. All we did was play cards. And that was enough. Actually, it wasn't. Trust me. The child.
Oh, morning, Daddy.
I'm so glad you came.
You okay, Daddy? Are they picking on you?
I'm fine as always. This old boy is here to help me after all. That's young man to you. Good morning. It's a cute outfit you have on.
Thanks. My first show's today after all.
Oh, I'm sure it is. What the heck is she talking about? Oh, is this Trucy talking?
Oh, old boy.
Me? Look what he started.
Here.
We know. What's this?
I don't know. I just got it over there in the hall. And they told me to give it to the old boy in the blue shirt with the spiky hair. They said it was really important.
Is this a memo for you or some such? Not from the looks of it. What is this? Looks like a page from someone's diary. I'll give it a read later. Well, how do you feel about the trial today? We'll get through it somehow. Incidentally, the prosecutor today is a new guy, I hear. An easy win then, yes? Calling him a true thoroughbred in the history of the prosecutor's office. Of course, there's one of those every year. At least he's aware of it. Switching of attorneys just before the trial. Well, it's a difficult situation I put you in. But allow me to say one thing, Mr. Wright. Yes? You ought to be able to pronounce me guilty today. So do your best, but do not worry. First time a defendant's ever given me a pep speech? I read that as pep speech. I'll do what I can. Let's see. I see you do not understand. See, it'll be impossible for them to declare a verdict. Impossible? Yes, isn't that right, Trucy?
Yep, you bet, Daddy.
First look at the case was only yesterday. The information I was given was a tad bit lacking, to be honest. Still, I'll do what I can, for their sake. I believe the curtains will be lifting any time now. I'm in your capable hands, Mr. Wright. My client is Shady Enigmar, known to the world as Zach Gramarye. Wildly popular magician, star of Troupe Gramarye. His mentor, Magnifique Gramarye, was a rare breed of magician. He single-handedly ushered in a golden age of stage magic until he was shot dead. Oh, what a normal human name, yeah. Zach Gramarye is the suspect. Also, I apologize. Phoenix and Apollo's voices are going to overlap a lot. Court is now in session for the trial of Shady Enigmar. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Is the prosecution ready? I was just thinking, is this what all the fuss is about? A bit of a buzzkill, really. Skill? Some new kind of crime? One of the worst. This is a trial, yeah? Where are the sweaty palms, the pounding hearts? A governor's concert has got 10 times the thrill this gig's got. Who are you again? Clavier Gavin. I came to get the party started. Legally, yeah? Gavin? Defense attorney Christoph Gavins. Figures my bro's more famous in this part of town. Javier Gavin, lead singer for the mega hit band The Gaviners. You're out of your league, rock boy. I know what you're thinking. You're out of your league, rock boy. You said it right there in blue text. It's right there for everyone to read. True, my debut single, 13 Years Hard Time for Love, went platinum overnight. But that's just a hobby to me compared to this, yeah? Talkative, aren't you? I like your affected Euro rock accent, by the way. I'm just getting warmed up, Herr Attorney Wright. Perhaps you would be so kind as to fill us in on the case. Achtung, baby. Time to call on the opening act. What was his name again? Ah yes, Detective Gumshoe. Hit it. There he is! His one and only appearance in the sequel trilogy. And you are? Hey, you were the one who called me up here, sir. Name's Dick Gumshoe. Homicide detective down at the precinct. Detective Gumshoe. Long time no see. Hey, you. Huh? Me? Today's the day, pal. Today I win and you lose. I got confidence in my testimony today, see? What, you normally lack confidence in your testimony? You're a detective. This is my stage. Can the antics. Huh? All this heying and such. And I could care less about your history together. I've never been with Mr. Wright, sir. I've only been with Edgeworth. Yeah. Nah, this one's not Ryunosuke. This is Ryuichi. At least, I'm pretty sure. Phoenix's Japanese name is Ryuichi Naruhodo, right? You had to process what I said for a sec. Very well, Detective Gumshoe, if you would. Please tell us about the case at hand. Happened 6 days back at a room in the General Hospital. Wow, he's just got a bullet hole straight in his face, doesn't it? Facts are as simple as they come. Here's the crime scene. Victim was a patient asleep in a hospital bed. Killer comes in, puts a pistol to his forehead, and bam, lights out. Them's the facts. I've lost Gumshoe's voice, I'm sorry. It's been too long. It's been, what, 3 games? I know that we'll get more Gumshoe in the investigations games, but only for like the first case. Hey Tinker, how are you doing? Welcome in. Not so long ago, the victim, Magnifi Grammary, was a famous man. He had the entire country under his magical spell, as it were. Ah yes, the great magician. He retired years ago, though. Say the name Magnifi to one of my generation, and you'll be lucky to get a blank stare. Yes, though I'm sure the youngsters today know his disciples even better. I dare say Troop Grammary has made quite the name for themselves. Anyhow, retired Magnifi's been in the hospital for the last year. What was it? A mal-ignorant tutor or something? Doing something to his liver, I think. Yeah. Malignant tumor, perhaps? In other words, he had liver cancer. He had only 3 months left to live, in fact. Facts do seem simple enough. But something's not right. The victim was already climbing a 3-month stairway to heaven. Why not wait for him to knock, knock, knock on heaven's door? Why shoot him? I wouldn't have put it quite so lyrically, but it's true. Why make the effort to commit murder when the victim was about to die? Incidentally, the victim had a serious case of diabetes. Diabetes? In fact, he was about to shoot up with insulin. Then he was shot with a pistol. The syringe was found at the crime scene. Chronic diabetes and cancer. As much as it pains me to say it, the victim was clearly at the end of his life. I believe the question before us is clear, then. Why did the killer have to shoot this dying man? What reason could he have had? Very well, Detective. Perhaps you can enlighten us as to the circumstances of the shooting. Yes, sir. Do you think that, like... Actually, wait, that doesn't make any sense. I was about to say, do you think that the investigations games are happening, like, concurrently with this? But, that doesn't really work. Because Phoenix, Maya, and Pearl have cameos in investigations. And, like, I don't think Phoenix would have told Maya about him losing his attorney's badge. They happen at the same time as Ace Attorney 2 and 3. I guess that would make sense. Because Edgeworth is, like, barely present for those games. Oh, we get the first game's cross-examination theme. Actually, the victim kind of ordered the defendant to do him in. 2 days before it happened, the victim sent a letter ordering his own murder. The defendant did what was asked of him and shot the old man in the forehead. Bullet was fired from the pistol found at the scene, no doubt about it. Pistol definitely belonged to the old man, sir. What? You're saying the victim ordered his own shooting? Those are the facts. I have here the letter in question. For Magnifi's last trick, he will inject more diseases into his body. Very unusual indeed. Although, could such a thing as a letter really cause one to pull a trigger, I wonder? I believe the answer to that question can be found at the end of the letter. Ah, cannot refuse, and we both know the reason why. Detective Gumshoe, can you explain this to the court? Unfortunately, I lost Detective Gumshoe's voice. I forgot what I was doing for it. Even the defendant won't say a peep about that bit, sir. One thing bothers me about this. Why didn't he just say 11? Why have him come at 11:05 without some specific reason? The devil is in the details, Herr Attorney. Well, was there some reason? As it turns out, there was. Every night for half an hour, starting at 11, the victim, Magnifi Gramarye, was given an IV. An IV? It's there in the picture, off to the side of the bed. At 11, a doctor would come and set up the IV. 30 minutes later, he would come back for the empty bag. This happened every night without fail. So that was the only time they could meet without the chance of an untimely interruption. During his IV. Very well, shall we begin? Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you would. What's this reason he couldn't refuse, I wonder? Could have at least mentioned it to me. Actually, the victim kind of ordered the defendant to do him in.
Hold it!
It still hurts. It still hurts that it's new Phoenix Wright. Like, new Phoenix Wright is fine in the new games, but it's weird that he's in this game because it's not usually this voice in this game. Just because he got the letter doesn't mean that he went through with it. Oh, I disagree. The victim was, indeed, shot in the forehead. After all, just as he commanded. It could be a setup. But let's not be in such a hurry. Maybe we should let the witness talk for a change. Thanks, pal. Fine. I can play it as slow as well as I can play it fast. On with the testimony, Detective Gumshoe. 2 days before it happened, the victim sent a letter ordering his own murder.
Hold it!
Yeah, it's a... Well, it's not, the original trilogy pack, like, not, okay, that's the wrong way to say it. The Phoenix Wright, like, the current HD trilogy is what I mean. Like, 1, 2, and 3, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy, has his old voice for it. But, I assume because they're bundling this in with Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice, where they changed his voice actor, he got a voice actor change, it's Sam Riegel. They were like, oh wait, he's got 2 different voices here. We should have changed that. And this letter was sent by the victim.
There it is. Gotcha. You're all mine this time, pal.
Huh?
The handwriting checked out, of course. It's the victim's, no mistake.
Ah, I see.
Score 1 for the boys.
I didn't lose, I was just ascertaining the facts. So why am I so annoyed?
What, a letter ordering your own death? Things aren't what they used to be, I guess.
I'm not sure this is exactly commonplace, even now, Your Honor.
Oh, anyway, guess I'll keep going while I'm ahead. Bendon did what was asked of him and shot the old man in the forehead.
Hold it!
How can you be so sure?
Hey, you gotta learn to stop relying on people to do your thinking for you, pal. Learn to think for yourself. Get that noggin cranking.
You fail to grasp the concept of questioning, Detective.
First, we got this letter. Let's shoot in the forehead, loud and clear.
I can see that, but I still wouldn't do it.
Well, maybe you need to grow yourself a backbone, pal.
You fail to grasp the concept of shooting people is bad, Detective. To be fair, Phoenix, this is the same guy that tried to show Pearl a pistol twice. So, are we entirely sure that Gumshoe knows what a gun is?
I also found the defendant's pistol in the scene.
Traces of gunpowder residue shows that it had been fired recently.
Oh, Mr. Wright. As far as I can tell from looking at this photo, there seems to be no issue with the prosecution's claim.
The photo. Maybe there's something in there I can use. So they're saying the defendant shot the victim in the forehead. I think there's a hole in the prosecution's argument. Clearly, Mr. Enigmar. Oh wait, he shot the clown off to the side, didn't he? Shot something else. Yeah. Looking at this photo, another possibility occurs to me.
Yes?
What does the letter tell us? That the defendant had a reason he couldn't refuse his teacher's wishes.
Bingo, pal. That's why the defendant popped him one in the forehead. What? Fired? Guns shoot people? I thought they just had little pop caps on them.
Gumshoe's voice and the judge's voice are very similar. Oh, the defense disagrees. You see, the defendant had another choice he could make.
Objection!
What? And you can prove that with this photo. I can prove he had a choice, yes.
Defendant might have fired, like he was ordered. He didn't shoot the victim's forehead. Well, let's hear what you're thinking, Mr. Wright. He didn't shoot the victim's forehead. What did the defendant shoot?
Also, can I just say, this is a very clean bullet hole in this man's forehead here.
Take that!
Found all?
Take a closer look, see? It's been shot in the forehead, too.
Ah! There's a hole in its forehead.
Yes, a hole in the prosecution's claim, and a hole in the prosecution's claim.
Objection!
Ah, and I suppose you'll have a reason as to why he'd shoot the clown doll. He didn't just shoot the doll, he shot the doll's forehead. What did this say? Ah, okay. Ready a gun with which you'll shoot one shot square in the forehead. His forehead. Let's read the orders once more, shall we? You will shoot one shot square in the forehead. Which is exactly what he did. He shot the clown doll square in the forehead.
Defense has raised an intriguing possibility. That hole in the clown's forehead definitely looks like he was shot.
This is pretty damn high up there for me as well. Like, I really like this case. I've played this game, at least, well, I've seen this game. I haven't actually played it, but I've seen this game. Unlike most of Dual Destinies and like 99% of Spirit of Justice. And all of the Investigations games. But, this case is really good. I still think that Justice for All Case 4 is my favorite, just because... What is it? Farewell My Turnabout, I think is what it is. I think is the name. I always forget if it's Farewell My Turnabout or Turnabout Goodbyes. I think it's Farewell My Turnabout. Seen and played all of it.
That hole in the clown's forehead. It definitely looks like he was shot. Bailiff, send someone to investigate this matter.
Objection!
I admit, I'm impressed, but I expected nothing less. Still, this doesn't mean he didn't shoot the victim.
Objection!
Perhaps he did have to shoot a forehead, as ordered. But the letter says nothing about whose forehead. This was the only way he had to follow his orders without taking a life.
Bullet hole in the clown doll's forehead does demand an explanation. Might very well be a clue. Prosecutor Gavin is right. It alone does not prove the defendant's innocence. You cannot say for sure the defendant didn't shoot the victim.
So sorry, Mr. Wright. How sad it is to see the mighty fall. How sad it is to see the novice's overconfidence. He doesn't realize just how big this little hole is gonna get. Don't mind me lingering on that for a sec.
Detective Gumshoe, please take this newfound fact into account as you continue your testimony. What if he shot the clown? Still shot the victim, pal.
No. Because the, You will shoot one shot.
Objection!
What? Yeah, it's literally just the Sam Riegel voice clips from those games. Your Honor, that statement contradicts this evidence.
Does? I don't see anything contradictory.
Huh? Really?
Objection overruled. Try to think before you make accusations, Mr. Wright.
Oops, that didn't go so well. So let me get this straight. You're saying my client first shot the clown, then shot the victim?
Hey, not a bad summary, pal.
More of a confirmation than a summary, but whatever. That was really more of a confirmation than a summary. But our defense attorney seems pleased enough with himself. These people ever miss the chance to mock me? Well, now that Mr. Wright's gotten that one out of his system, shall we continue with the testimony? I didn't have time to gather all the details before coming here. This testimony might be my only source of information. Better pay attention. Read this letter carefully.
Actually, the victim kind of ordered the defendant to do him in.
Just because he got the letter doesn't mean he went through with it. Oh, I disagree. The victim was indeed shot in the forehead, after all, just as he had commanded. It could be a setup. Oh wait, we already read this. Tomei Jam on Ichio. And this letter was sent by the victim. Yep, okay, cool, we already read this. But it might have been the clown's forehead he shot.
Okay, so he practiced first on the doll, then shot him.
Practiced in the middle of the hospital? Anyone could have come in at any moment.
Yeah, but no one did come. But no one did come, did they, pal? Besides, it's what I would have done. Always look before you shoot, I say.
Might I suggest we move on? This is getting us nowhere. Patience, we'll get there sooner than you think.
Very well, please continue with your testimony, detective. Ball was fired from the pistol found at the scene. No doubt about it.
You mean this pistol, the one in the crime scene photo?
That's the one. It's funny looking gun, so there's no mistaking it.
We compared the bullet taken from the victim's skull with a bullet fired from this gun. The rifling marks on the bullet were a perfect match. So, you verified the murder weapon, in other words.
You bet we did. The pistol definitely belonged to the old man, sir.
Why are you so certain?
What pile of sand has your head been stuck in all this time, pal? Never heard of Zack and Valen's quick draw shoot 'em?
Huh? What's that?
One of the defendant's specialties. Zack and Valen stand on either side of a girl, then they shoot. Bullets don't hit her. Instead, they hit everything else on stage. This is one of the pistols they used in their show. Got a great design, huh? Kids love it.
Many boys and girls joined the police because of that pistol, I hear. No, that would explain a lot about the police force.
Drew Gramery stopped doing that act a while ago. The old man held onto that pistol ever since. Board would like to see the pistol in question. You got it, sir. Here she is. Oh, this is truly a blast from the past. Stage pistol for magic shows, see? Fire real bullets. Looks so much bigger in real life than on TV. Yeah, but it can only hold one round. By the way, pistol's firing chamber's empty. Shows traces haven't been fired recently.
So, were any fingerprints found on the gun? Unfortunately, no. Of course, the defendant is known for wearing gloves. We might say that the lack of fingerprints is in fact a fingerprint of its own.
Aha! Intriguing point. Well made.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Not well made, not intriguing.
In any case, the court accepts this evidence. My grandchild would get a kick out of seeing this. Now it's time to return to our testimony.
Okay, so let me guess, fired once. Fires one real bullet.
Objection!
Trickiest cases often seem the simplest. Prosecutor Gavin, you missed the bullet hole in the clown's forehead. If you hadn't missed that, you might have come to a very different conclusion. Understand?
Yeah, but just like I said, pal. After he shot the clown in the forehead, he went in.
Objection!
Did nothing of the sort to the victim. The pistol proves he couldn't.
Murder weapon? How?
It's quite simple, Your Honor. This pistol only holds one bullet at a time.
Ugh.
If he had shot the clown in the forehead, he couldn't have shot the victim too.
Yeah.
Objection!
That's not a contradiction. Not even close. All he had to do was reload the pistol after the first shot.
Objection!
Oh, where did he get the extra bullet? Not so easy to come by, you know? If you claim the defendant had one already, Then prove to us how he got it. I had the feeling this wasn't over yet. No, this party is just getting started. And I haven't proven anything yet beyond my good looks and startling record sales. Utter lack of humility.
And what's this? Seems the prosecution has another witness prepared.
Phoenix demanding the prosecutor show proof? This isn't Phoenix at all. Like I said, Air Detective. Air Detective was just the warm-up act. Now that the audience has gotten a taste of what's to come, they're ready.
Ready for what?
For my decisive witness, of course. A witness who, you will find, can prove one thing for us. That it was Zach Gramery who shot the victim in the forehead.
Very well. We'll pause for a 15-minute recess.
This might be my lucky break. I'll need that 15 minutes to talk to my client, Zach.
Court is adjourned.
And with that, that is a perfectly timed to be continued. So, give me just a sec. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. Exclamation point Discord if you want to join the Discord. Exclamation point socials if you want to check out the VODs channel. I've streamed Ace Attorneys 1, 2, 3, and DGS 1 and 2, so if you're enjoying this, you might enjoy those. Otherwise, give me a moment and we'll find someone to raid. Allow me to hit you with the question. Is Sin streaming? Sin is not in fact streaming. Critique is playing Resident Evil though. So yeah, I should be continuing this tomorrow. Granted that there aren't any, snags in my scheduling or anything. Otherwise, have a good one and take care.